Hey there, Johnny. I've started out bad already. I inadvertently laid my stencil over the top of some two-sided tape that I use, and it's Tessa tape. It does not want to let go, and I don't want to bend the stencil because I've only got the one stencil. Hey, Greg. So somehow I've got to get this off. I guess heat's going to be my only option here. I don't know, maybe the adhesive will let go. But it's really good adhesive. Yeah, that's not coming off anytime soon. Ah, crikey. Forgot I had the big nozzle on it. Because if I get this wrong, I'll put a I'll put a buckle or a fold or some kind of imperfection into the stencil, and then it'll be useless. Hey, B-Blood. Jeez, that really sticks well. And unfortunately, because I've used the alcohol in it, now I've lost all of my references that I had drawn on there. My various lengths and orientations, all gone. Let's see, we want narrowing down by default. So I'm pretty sure we want holes up top. Right, so we're going to try a bit of a slightly different stenciling technique. Unfortunately, my stenciler that I machine that I ordered from JLC, it hasn't arrived yet, which is unfortunate, but so I'm running out of time. I have to do this, so I'm going to do these manually. I'm going to try a couple of options. First thing I tried to do is print a little insert disc. This is 1.6mm thick, and that just helps the stencil not sag when I go across it. I did also try to print an actual holder. This one was okay, but the trouble is I realized afterwards I really need the 3D print to extend out beyond the area of the stencil itself. And so I tried that, and my printer just went all crazy and just produced junk. Unfortunately, my printer seems to be very much disliking what I'm doing lately. Either PET or PLA doesn't even run at the moment, so I don't know what's going on. I'm probably going to order myself another printer and at least this one will have auto bed leveling and a couple of other little things that are nice. I mean, I'm very happy with the Ender 3, but when you start getting these weird issues, it can be a little bit tricky trying to work out what's going on. I've had several days worth of prints just fail on me, and it's not fun. Like, let me show you what I've got going on here. Like this here was the new fume hood, and the PLA, it was doing good up to about 15-hour mark, and then something went wrong in the hot end, and it just started skipping, and it turned all the sidewalls and everything really just easy. Like this here is proper print, and it doesn't go crunch or anything like that when you handle it. This stuff, not so proper print. You can feel it's all crunchy. It doesn't bond together or anything. But it got everything else right. But yeah, so that was the second attempt. It has done a good job. It was doing fine a week ago with this sort of print. That was great, no problems. But something went wrong, and now it's printing junk. I've replaced the Bowden tube. I've cleaned the hot head. I've cleaned the everything. The filaments in a dryer. Yeah, it's all the sort of stuff I would expect, and I'm not having any luck. So I'm sort of just thinking, Creality have the V3 SE, I think, on sale at the moment for $280 delivered. I may as well just go with one of those. Hey, the computer repair specialist, what is it? Computer repair, what is it? Cosent from Montreal. Hello. Antonio. Anyway, so this is about as good as I got, and I was wondering if I can't just, let's see if we can slip this in a bit. So I mean, it holds it there, but I need to be able to lock it. So if I bring these in, let's see if that works. Yeah, the trouble is, because these are a smidge lower, because there is a thickness on the back of this, because they're a smidge lower, it causes it to bow out. So that's why I needed the broader area of this to stop it flexing over. If I do it this way, I sort of have to hold it myself. Maybe I can do it without using magnets or anything. Just do it one sweep and then swap hands and do that. I guess we'll try it, eh? Give it a shot. Yeah, I really had hoped that my new stencil printing machine would be here, but it's not. It feels like this is going to get a little bit messy, and yeah, if I start too early, then I don't have the confidence on that one. I think I'll go for the metal plate with the insert disc like that. People are going, just get on with it, man. Just get on with it. Oh, you got the KE, somebody. Okay, I'm after the SE. I know there's the KE, and that was selling, I think, $3.99 at the moment. But yeah, I was going to get just the SE and then save up later and get a, what do you call it, a Max 5 later. The Max 5 will at least help me get the big print jobs done. Because it doesn't help that PET loves to curl as well. That was the other problem I kept running into, the curling. And I can control it to a degree, but it was still pretty severe. than that, the K is a nice printer. Pain in the to upgrade clipper on it. What's clipper? Clearly I'm missing something important there. I just figured the SE will hold me out until I'm ready to get, say, like the 5 max. Why am I feeling uncomfortable on this? Ugh. Come on, Paul, you got this. Basically means faster prints on the same hardware. Oh, okay. Alright then. I'm gonna try and do these in batches of 4. Try. So we already need some more paste. Well, at least the insert disk seems to be solving the worst of things. Yeah, before I'd be running into stencil lifting up in weird ways. I think we should be able to get this. Okay. Maybe I can use this as a construction holder. So I can punch out the bottom. Hey Ryan Labs, hey Bob Wareham. Let's see. So I'm probably going to end up just sort of drifting off while I focus on things. But keep yourselves entertained. I'll try and remember the questions coming up. I also need to write some documentation for people who want to modify their ring lights, like, increase the output or anything like that. Alright, let's see if we did get this right. Yep, that's to the bottom. Might just stick that there. But I'm very excited to see what the stencil machine is going to be like, assuming it arrives tomorrow. Because it'd be nice to just have it on a proper pivot assembly. You just drop the board in, lay the stencil down, or just hinge it down, run the squeegee, and you're done, in theory. It's been a long time since I've done screen printing like that. Probably back when I was a kid doing t-shirts, and would have like a carousel of 3 or 4 different screen assemblies, and each would have its own unique colour in it. So you'd lay the shirt out on the stretch pad, bring your first screen down, run the squeegee over it, then lift it up, rotate it around, bring the next one down, and so on and so forth. That was a while ago now. Oh, that wasn't even close. That was so far off from being on the mark. Oh well. I don't know why I've got this big 000 in here. Don't need those. Should take that out. I can theoretically pick up these 7805s with the, the vacuum pen. It's just easier for me to use a pair of tweezers. Ryan Lab, that's no good. Were they just setting off everything? We get people running around here with fireworks periodically. Alright, let's see if this is going to be a disaster or if it's going to work. Okay, that works well enough. Oh, that was lucky. That was really lucky. If you're lucky, Ryan Labs, they'll solve the problem themselves. Not allowed to say how. I'm very much relying on the fact that the surface tension is going to bring these LEDs back into place. Yeah, something like that, Ryan, something like that. Just keeping an eye on Milo and Luna outside. We don't normally let them outside anymore during the day, at least not supervised anyway. We'll go out there for our morning coffee, sit under the carport, things like that. And then when we're done, we basically start bringing them in. And then they spend the day inside, sleeping. And then in the evening, when we're ready, we all go outside again. Don't you wish you could just drop the PCB in a bag full of... Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'd be nice, Bob. Or just all the parts together, just like, you know, shake and bake. Hey, Siege. It's actually the first day we've had some sunshine showing, really. We've had a moderately long run of rain, which we're very happy for since Christmas. The only downside is when you've had a nice long run of rain and then the sun comes out, particularly the sunlight what we get here, it turns into an absolute sauna. But, yeah. It's upside down, aren't you? Yep. And the grass grows crazy fast. I mean, really crazy fast. Every day I probably spend about an hour out there mowing down the grass, pulling up weeds. And no sooner I get it done, I have to start all over again. It's just the nature of it at this time of the year. It's very fast growing. At least the upside is with the ground being nice and soaked, yanking out the big weeds are pretty easy. And it's good exercise. Okay. Yeah, see, yeah, well, sometimes some people use goats. I think what I need is just a robot mower. But the big problem we've got at the moment is that the yard is a little bit too scrappy and unpredictable. Too many... It's hard for a robot to do our yard. But believe me, the moment I can get a robot to do it, and the moment I can afford to get a robot to do it, I will be doing so. Like I said, I know there are quite a few now semi-autonomous robot mowing machines. I'm very eager to get myself one of them. I've been looking at the Husqvarna ones. They seem to be pretty good quality. Well, the one side of using this technique is that it makes it easier to put the navigation switch down without it pivoting off. It also helps that I've moved the nav switch inwards a bit more. That stops it from sort of like tilting off. Okay, 3 down. There's radio control mode. No, I'll give that a pass. I have seen that one, but I'll give it a pass. I'm going to go for fully, the autonomous one, kind of like a Roomba for your lawn. I don't want to have to be involved in controlling the mower. I don't have a problem with, pushing it around. I'd rather push it than sit in my chair and direct it. But even better, I'd rather just do something else. Kind of wondering who's going to be the first person to receive their ring light. I did get charged a bunch of tariffs from the US, so I know that quite a few are in the US distribution system right now. I know, Greg, you've got yours coming. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who gets it first. Hey, Tom Morgan. Yeah, I saw that China dropped the tariffs on the EVs. Oops, forgot to put the regulator on. Okay, that's our batch of 4, first 4. Now I've got to rig up the reflow oven. Oh boy. This will be fun. This is going to take a few minutes. Alright, get the Danger Will Robinson arm out. Okay, you're good. Should be turned on. Okay, you're up. Oh, you didn't damage that, did you? You idiot. Hey, Slack FPV. Thank you very much for the $5. Australian too. Much appreciated. Let's hopefully it all goes well. Now we're going to stick this portion into the middle because that's the portion that needs the most heat. This is the nightmare phase of when you're doing your own board stuff, the reflows, because you've got to very carefully get these assemblies over into the oven without tripping on something and ruining everything. Yeah. There we go. Just making sure it actually does fire up. It's kind of showing a bit of a low temperature at the moment, 7 Celsius, definitely warmer than that around here. My temperature sensing algorithm has a little bit of non-linearity towards the extremes. I just realised my extractor's not running. Such a mess in here. Come on. Okay, that's what we want to hear. Sucking all that bad air out of here, or at least trying to. EUV technology is crazy complicated. Oh, yeah, it really is. Yeah. Yeah, it's if there's going to be something that keeps the world talking to each other, it's going to be the fact that that machine needs everybody's input. It makes you all the more appreciative of just how much work was required to get us the blue LED. Yeah, there was such a insane amount of trial and error in the blue LED, and a lot of luck, persistence, thankfully. See you, Ryan. Chinese have reverse engineered the UV. Of course, then you've got to wonder what's next on the list. You know, what have we got after extreme UV? A grass puddle. Yeah, I just had to dry my hands. They're getting a bit sweaty. I don't know why the air conditioner's not doing its job. Come here, air conditioner. Oh, you're on low. Okay, high. It's kind of sad. I'm running the air conditioner and I'm running the reflow oven. So it's a bit of a fight. It's kind of like running the clothes dryer in an air-conditioned house. Okay, what are we at? Still at bake off. Yeah, sometimes you just got to do these things. Gloves. So now we're going to stencil up another 4. Antonio, you know, he pretty much did. I agree. You imagine if we didn't have blue LED? We wouldn't have... Well, there'd be so much we wouldn't have. Was he fired, or was it more a case of they just had a conflict of something, and then he just went his own way? Because I know he certainly defied his boss a lot to achieve the outcome. Yeah, they did say it was pretty much impossible. I mean, it's certainly, you know, when you look at the process involved, saying it was impossible wouldn't be such a unrealistic thing, even in retrospect. Oh god, not CFL bulbs. I'd say CFLs are probably one of the worst creations recently. I mean, I understand they did provide a service, but they were terrible. What's the title? What? Veritasium has a good video on it. He's always worth watching. Yep, I can smell the cooking up in the oven. Which is probably not what I want. I want it to not smell anything that's going on. That's why we have an extractor, damn it. What have you done? Alright, it's at the open door phase, so we'll let that do its thing. Remember when LED backlight monitors were more expensive even though it was cheaper to manufacture? Well, that's a typical sort of thing. You always make the newest thing more expensive. At least for a while, so you can recoup your investment costs. Yeah, your starting costs. But yeah. My first my first LCDs were back in I think 2001 or 2000, I think 2002, and I had a pair of LG 15-inch 1280. No, actually, I think they're 1024 768s. But yeah, I had a pair of those, running off a Matrox G400 card, I think it was. But of course, that was the CFL. Really? What would be nice is if I could make a holder that could take all 4 boards, stencil them all in one place, load up all the parts while still in that holder, and also put them into the reflow oven on that holder. Yeah, that ain't happening in a hurry. But it'd be nice, save having to transfer things in and out of this holder. Or, better yet, send them off to someone else to get done. But, like I said, we have the problem, a trust issue with the LEDs. Although many of the other things I have, I can trust to get manufactured by other people. Just need a pick and place machine. Pfft. Yeah, that and all the setup that goes with that. I am the pick and place machine, Rob. Just like I am the dishwasher. That's stuck on there. There we go. Strictly speaking, I really don't need these pair of 100 nanofarads on either side of the 7805. It doesn't require them. I simply do it out of an abundance of caution. The 7805, it has a very large, regulating overhead. But the upside of that is that it doesn't have a oscillating tendency, whereas low dropout regulators do have a tendency to oscillate, which is why you have to load them up with caps either side. Need an ender repurposed with a vacuum sucker and a whole lot of other things, yeah. But I do, yeah. But yep, I'm just gonna have to stick with doing this old school for now. Particularly if, like, I'm just catching up at this point, which is why we're having to do so many. But once I've caught up, if I say spend an hour a day and produce, say, 4 of these each day, then that more than covers what the demand would be. 100 nanofarad, 35. I think these are trying to think. They're better than the Y standard. I forget which one, but they're going to be plus or minus 10% or 20%. But they're not dirt cheap ones. You can get some that are like plus minus 30% or plus 10%, minus 50%. Though you see that usually more with electrolyte. Wow, I can't talk. Electrolytic caps. They have some pretty wild ranges on them. Yeah, definitely not Chinese. I think these are either Yaesu or Panasonic. Maybe Vishay. Most of the time I think I end up with my ceramics coming from Yaesu. I mean, I could be wrong. I know they're not MPO class. Not stretching that far on my budget. I am really hoping that this new positioning of the navigation switch does help prevent people breaking them off. Not that many people broke them off, but it was more than what I was comfortable with. I think it was about 4 or 5 of them, maybe 6 out of 100 broke off. So it's a moderately high failure rate by accident. It wasn't that they fell off just on their own. It was always a case of, they were knocked. But it did tell me, like, okay, we need to do something about making this a little more secure. Marat, Antonio, probably the first bunch there. I don't think I ever really get Samsung ones, but all the rest of them are the brands I would go for, yeah. I don't get TDK that much, but you've pretty much listed them. I would probably swap Murata and Panasonic in terms of the brands I end up getting. It's not even really by conscious choice. It's more just of, okay, what's in stock, what's on special. I don't have anything against TDK, it just they don't come up very often. Where's... I just gotta go check see where Milo is. He's not in my viewport now. Oh wow, they're all out there. Hey there, Andy. Morning. I guess you'll be streaming again today as usual. No rest for the wicked. I could probably do this faster if I was smart and actually just upgraded all these to like 805 size parts. I mean, the difference between 603 versus 805 is massive when it comes to how quickly you can pick and place them as a human being. Obviously not so much as a robot, but as a human being, yeah, if you go from 603 to 805, it just feels like you've gone from Lego to Duplo. It's so much easier. But because so much of my existing feedstock that I have is 603, I just sort of keep designing with 603. I've got plenty of room on here for 805. Hell, you can go 1206. The other problem though is that 603 is so common that you're going to get, usually you're going to get your best prices at 603 parts, whereas things like 805s are going to cost you a little bit more of a premium. Hey, Superhouse? Yeah, exactly, yeah, you could. But like I said, the cost premium can be a bit of a nuisance sometimes. But certainly, you know, with an 805, I could probably almost take the glasses off and not have to just be fine. Interestingly, when I first started doing surface mount manufacturing, way back, would have been like 2005 or something like that, I started out with 805s, mostly because the local suppliers I had were doing some good deals on reels of 805 resistors and things, and so I just gobbled them all up. But then over time, I did start to produce some very compact circuits for hand launch radio controlled gliders and things like that. So space was definitely a premium. 402 wasn't really practical, so 603 it was. And my stock just sort of grew from there, and you know, most of my templated designs are all 603s. I mean, not that it's a big issue, you just go along and select them all and say change package to 805 and you're done. even on this, I could change that DFN controller over to a SO8 controller, and I probably should because it's easier. But yeah, there's absolutely oodles of room on these boards to make it as big as I want, almost. Oh well, we've got another 50 of these LED boards to do, so maybe I'll look at an 805 version. Oh, one LED short there. Ah, that's a nuisance. Which means I've got to take it from something else. Hey, Barney Rubble. Let's see, did I... Yeah. Okay, it looks like I'm going to have possibly two. Oh, and he's not streaming because it's Sunday. Wow. Alrighty then. And hopefully my next reel of LEDs arrives soon. So I'm going to run out if I'm not careful. I had to pre-order a pretty big supply of them because they weren't available at the moment. This manufacturer hasn't actually fulfilled any orders, which kind of fills me with a little bit of fear. Worried. Hopefully they will resupply. Supposedly it's meant to be early next month. They will start sending them out again. Can only hope so, because I don't want to have to try and chase around and find another LED variant that does what I want to. I mean, push come to shove, obviously you're going to have to, yeah, I should have a second supply, an alternate mode, an alternate model. But I would prefer not to. Because if I change the LED elements, then quite a few other things are probably going to change. Yeah, the Chinese will. Oh, I mean, they don't even have to buy one to reverse engineer it. I mean, you just look at it, and they'll know exactly what parts I'm probably using. But of course, even if they do reverse engineer it, it's not to say they will use the same level of parts. The circuit itself is pretty rudimentary. The firmware is decent. Oh yeah, ow, 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 ow. Okay. They're still pretty warm. Fresh baked cookies. there's probably no point copyrighting the firmware. I mean, it already is implicitly copyright anyway. Alright, next batch on the cook. Guess we'll have a look at these ones, see how they came out. Superhouse, we'll be doing a dozen today. Okay, so we've missed that foot there. Blimey heck. Obviously I didn't push it down to get the paste to contact. The most critical parts on these is making sure that the controller has all its pins clear. That's the thing that's going to make it smoke or not. And we're just checking that all of our little cathode notches are the right way. That's sitting nice. Okay, so that one, it still would work fine because this here is actually the one that we care about. That there's just more of it's a mechanical hold. So we'll get that sorted out. It is difficult to... Oh wow. Okay, you're actually being quite reluctant. I need to get some better tips for this. I might need to bring in the hot air. This is the only trouble with using these aluminium boards, is that they will suck the absolute living daylights of thermal out of your soldering iron tip. So we'll get some hot air. Nothing much, just 230, something like that. Just enough to warm it up. That's not great at all. Get some more flux. Obviously some more frickin' carpet fibers as well, it seems. Alright, that's better. It's like there was some sort of contamination on there, I don't know what it was. Alright, that's secured. One. Yeah, they're all down. That's good. one looks good. Fortunately, there's not a lot of mechanical stress on that jack. Yeah, once it's mounted and everything, it's pretty steady. What is this junk? What the hell? That didn't go well. Look at that. Something went very wrong there. This is why you got to check these things individually. Because that most certainly has not bonded down how I would want it to. I really need to, what I'll have to do is I have to put some paste in there and put this on the hot plate. What a nuisance. That one's fine. That's the other thing I keep forgetting to do with the stencil when I get these ordered, is to reduce the paste area. I mean, it's not a major problem that we get these little baubles. Yeah, they're not causing any issues. They're not going to cause a short. But it's more a case of, well, I'm using more paste than I need to. So if I sort of drop the paste area down to about maybe 2/3 of what it is now, then it should be fine. Of course, you don't want to go too far because then you end up with problems of no strength. I'll put this aside to hot plate in a bit when we're done with the next batch. Because we've got another batch of 4 to go, and then pretty sure I would have just caught up. Okay, see if we can load the firmware up into them. We're going through this crap again, are we? I think there's another device somewhere on my installation that is hijacking the... Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's hijacking this port. Because it'll work for a little bit and then it will vanish. Okay, that's good. That's good. That's good. I'm going to flash this one over here as well because the nav switch well, it needs to be fixed up, isn't part of the, isn't part of the normal operation in terms of the flashing. Okay. Let's see, let's get our power brick. Let's see, one of you are 24 volts. Put your sunglasses on. Yeah, the nav switch isn't running on that one. Okay, they're all good. All good. Nope, got another nav switch failure. Okay. Not sure why I'm with this batch having nav switch connection failures. Okay, it's that one up there. Yeah, we'll have to add a little bit of paste. I don't think it's from these contacts. I'm thinking it's from the ground itself. Hey, Market Limmer. But that's actually soldered on. Yeah, so's that. It's kind of curious. Yeah, it's definitely not responding to the nav switch inputs. Yet, that looks like it's all soldered. Shall I see if the middle one works? Hey, Slime in the Cloak. No, none of them are working. So that, not up, not down. So all of them are not working. Same for that. This is why you have quality control. This is why you do more than just put a QC sticker on things. Anybody can put a QC sticker on something. Alright, we'll get our next 4 done and then we can sort these out. Maybe a faulty switch. It's possible. I haven't had problems with those switches. I'd sooner say I've got a soldering glitch somewhere in there. So I'm kind of hoping a little bit of paste and a little bit of flux and it might solve itself. I hope. Alright, 4 more to go. Come on. Yeah, it could be the way I'm applying, putting them down maybe. There's many possible causes. Tweezers, where did you go? Oh, that slipped. It's not great, but it's not terrible. The worst thing is that when you slip, you put paste onto the backside, and that does tend to cause some issues. Usually it just starts producing bridges and things like that. But given that 90% of our circuits here are not going to be impacted by that sort of thing, we should be okay. And if we're wrong, then we'll just have to get it in quality control. Again, I let it slip. Last one. Okay, didn't let it slip that time. Okay, now we need to clean up our stencil. Microsoft Ringlight? What? No, isn't it Microscope Ringlight? Seriously? I didn't write Microsoft, did I? Seriously? Tell me I'm losing my mind. Okay, glad to see it wasn't me. Sitting here thinking, why would I write Microsoft? But hey, I mean, yeah, you never know. Microsoft. Oh, geez, now I'm getting confused with my own words. You never know. Microsoft might put out a ring light. That's a fair chunk of paste there that we got. But we'll see how we're feeling at the end of this batch. Now, I've got a short one here. At least I think I do. Maybe I don't. Come on. Come on. Where's Milo? Just gonna go check on Milo again. I see all the trio are outside.
Yes.
I mean, troublemakers.
They just wanted to go out.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, let me in.
At least he's being good. Alright, here we go. Yeah, this is not really the way I would like to be making my income. You know, I've mentioned plenty of times before that repetitive manufacturing is not really my thing. But yeah, that's the way it goes in life. Is sometimes you simply have to do something you don't really care to in order to ensure that you keep your bills paid and food on the table, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, sometimes work isn't always going to be fun and games. In fact, it rarely is. I mean, I know there's some people out there who are fortunate enough to really enjoy all of their work all the time and make a very solid living from it, and that's great. But for a lot of people, you got to get out there and get in amongst the muck. Sometimes you're left with a situation of like you're thinking, well, if it only takes me 1 hour a day to make 4 of these, and that covers my basic bills, then is it such a problem that it's something that I don't really want to do? I should be able to take 1 hour a day doing something. I mean, gee, I do dishes for probably more than an hour a day. Yeah, I'm just going to push this down to make sure it really does make contact there. Get off. So how long have I been streaming for? Hour and a half. Hour and a half, so let's call it 2 hours, and I would have made 12 of them. So we call it 6 an hour, 10 minutes per unit. Obviously that varies depending on, there's obviously some fixed time costs that are going to become a greater percentage if you do fewer. Because we still have to do things like mount the ring light adapter. But overall, I'd say, call it 15 minutes per unit. That's pretty good going. Of course, the trick is to then sell all 4 every day. Not much point making them if you can't sell them. Hey, David Strider, welcome. Oh yeah, iPhone charge ports, yuck, yuck, yuck. Some of them aren't too bad, but yeah, I know, some of them are just the worst. Like if you've got to take that logic board out and a few other things, it's like, or if it's, there's a couple I think they run under the battery as well, and it's like really, or at least maybe not stuck under the battery, but it's got an edge that is routed under the battery, and so in order to get it out you have to sort of coerce it a little bit. Yeah, I hate them when they're like that. When people complain that they're having charging problems with their iPhones, I'm like, please just be a dirty charge port and nothing else. And of course then you get the iPads, and that's a whole different ballgame. Last one you did was 13 Pro, and yes, it goes under both battery and yeah, that's yeah, it's the stuff where you're like, I'm definitely going to be charging 200 for this. I do really need to push my prices up for a lot of things though, because I found out there's another store in Townsville, or even there's another local one here, and they charged a person close to $500 for a battery replacement and a in-cell display replacement on a 14 Pro Max. I mean, the battery replacement was reasonably priced in my opinion, but the what they charged him for the in-cell LCD replacement, that was a joke. I mean, you shouldn't even be putting in-cells on those things. It should be always OLED. Unless you're doing a test or something like that. And to make it more amusing, they damaged it while they were doing that swap. They ruined one of the sensors, and the whole thing just started cooking up behind the display. It was extremely hot. Now, as far as I know, that store should have the owner visiting them next week sometime, and hopefully they'll get a refund on the cleanly removed in-cell LCD. I think what happened is when they were trying to remove the sensor, they were using a metal spudger and they jammed it between the flexible circuit board and the sensor itself, pushed some metal in there somewhere, caused a short circuit, and that was quite a drama. I actually initially thought that damaged the wireless charging ring, because oh, that's right, yeah. Actually, the wireless charging ring is actually damaged as well, but it wasn't stopping the phone from working properly. It just simply doesn't have a down button on it. So same with the mall kiosk shop. Yeah, it's always the kiosk shops, isn't it? I mean, I know there's a couple of good ones, but most of them are problematic. Yeah, 500 plus for screen replacements. It's crazy. And they're always in cells, yeah. But the hard thing is trying to educate the marketplace about the difference. But it still doesn't make any sense, because if I quote them, say, well, for me, 14 Pro Max OLED would be like 230, 250. And yet they still end up going to the other places. It's like, why? The convenience is a major factor. To get to my place, you have to drive 4 minutes out of town. It's really not that far, believe me. But for a lot of people, they're either, it's just one thing or another stops them getting here. And so many times it ends up being a disaster. And of course they've usually used up all their money by then too. And yet somehow those shops still manage to thrive, and I guess it's because they get enough people who pay that $500. Yeah, there's enough margin that they've only got to do maybe, they'll probably have to do 3-4 screens a day like that, and they've covered their rent, their wages, and everything else. So from a business perspective, yeah, I mean, you can't argue it. It's the right move from a business perspective. Short term at least. But I just can't do it ethically. If your home had a home, I wish it did. I did have plans for it. There was a nice sort of shed front that I was going to go for. It was about 70,000 to do it. I just couldn't quite justify it. Yeah, it's not the smallest of money, that sort of level. Anything over about 20,000, and I'm making sure I think very hard about that. It's not like I can go drop 100,000 on getting a level floor in New York or anything. Not that I think Lewis could either, but he did. That was a very painful episode in business for him. And I'm sure most people who are in business or have been in business can relate to having similar experiences where you've kind of over-invested your capital into something that in retrospect you kind of go, yeah, that probably shouldn't have done that. I don't think there are many people who have been in business a reasonable amount of time who don't have a story like that. Really, a lot of them are sort of like family stuff, things like that, so you're doing it for the family. I know there's been a couple of kiosk owners that I've met, and they've actually had their ethics and their, do things right by the customer, and funnily enough, they end up getting to the point where they just can't afford to maintain that kiosk, and so they have to go elsewhere and start running everything at home. So I don't know too many that run long term and are maintaining the best for the customer. David Schreier, there's 28 LEDs per unit, so they're 4 clusters of 7. And that's why we run at 24 volts, because we need that extra couple of volts to run this chain of 7 efficiently. And there are other ways. You could put a boost circuit on here, but then the boost circuit creates more EMI issues, flickering issues, things like that. And there's more circuitry if you have to debug if things go wrong. Whereas I decided, you know what, I'm going to go 24 volts on the input supply and keep this end simpler. Okay, we need our batch that's been in the oven. These are the back ones, these are the front ones. I'm leaving them in their orientation here so that I can actually see if the faults are actually related to a cold spot in the oven perhaps. Sometimes that can happen. Crap. Okay, next batch on their way. Do I 3D print the shelf? The shell. Oh, you mean the you're talking about this thing? Yeah, that's 3D printed. Okay, so that was the back, right? That's what I said. Back. Okay, let's have a look. See if there's anything, any pattern in the failures. Well, that actually looks really good, that one. It's really nice. That's kind of what you want to see all the time, is a good flow like that. Okay, we've got a bridge here. Getting a bridge on those 2 pins there is surprisingly common. And that bridge would have formed more because of my placement, not because of the oven. Greg, yeah, there's a store in town that has a absolutely superb position. There we go, and that's fixed. Yeah, they've got an absolutely superb position. I'm envious of them. And if I was to have a storefront like downtown or something like that, it would have been very much where I would have gone as well. Okay, yeah, we've got a starvation problem going on up here again. See up there? Yeah, what's going on here? I mean, there's solder there. It's just maybe a little less than I would like, but there's definitely solder there. Okay, again, this is the front section. This is like, these boards are the ones closest to the front door. So that's fine. Okay, so this is a particularly annoying failure. I can't fix that just with, what do you call it? Just with resoldering it. I have to put this onto the hot pad, which is annoying. And that would have happened because I just simply didn't place it down carefully enough. Alright, so these are the ones at the back, and we can see we didn't really get the heat like we wanted there this time again. And we've got a bridge there. Wow, this batch really didn't go so great. So I'm wondering, in fact, whether I should run these. I might run these under the lead-free profile rather than the profile it's using right now, because I feel like there's not enough heat soak going on. And without the sufficient heat soak, these parts don't always sit down. The other problem can be is that with these DC jacks, there is a bit of a tendency for these legs to rise up a little bit. Like they're not sitting planar. Hey Jim, welcome. I definitely feel like there's a little bit of starvation on here, so it might be beneficial for me on the next stencil to widen out, increase the size of the paste area. It means there will be a little bit going off beyond the pad itself, but I'm hoping it will draw it in. Now normally you can solve that. The proper way would probably be to thicken up the stencil, but if we thicken up the stencil, then it's going to negatively impact on this, because we're already having excess paste coming out there. Oh wow, yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking we're definitely going to have to go with the other profile. I do not feel like there was enough temperature in that. Let's hope I don't melt these. Which I might preload them. They're not soldered down properly, but I'm just preloading the pads with solder so that when I do come back with the hot air, then when it flows, it's got enough there to flow with. There's definitely something on these. Really does feel like there's something contaminant on the surface of these. Yeah, the solder just doesn't really want to get on there. Yeah, that's disgusting. You see what I mean about the fact that they're not always planar. And they're not cheap DC jacks either. They're not AliExpress ones. These are, I gotta put more flux on that. These are, I'm trying to think. Clifton, I think it is. Clifton brand ones. So they're not cheap. They need something, Greg, that's for sure. It's the same brand that I have a main safety box thing. Clifford or Clifton or something like that. Hey, Security 16, welcome. Same trick here. Okay, let's try this. Oh, looks like there's only been one moderately good one out of that whole batch. I feel like I'm missing one. Wait, sorry. Okay, you're good. You can be programmed. I'm a smidge ambivalent about that one. I think I might put that on the reflow. I don't want to risk it. So we've got 4 for the reflow already. Blimey hell. Yeah, definitely that one. I should still be able to flash these. So we'll get them flashed and then get them reflowed. Did you see your suggestion for your volt and amp board? I didn't. Can you redo that? What you mean here in chat? Bit late for suggestions now anyway, because we've got a whole bunch of those boards coming. Oop, wrong direction. Oh. Okay. Okay, well at least they all flashed. because now I've mixed up which one was the good and bad. Oh well. We'll take the other ones out, we'll test them, and then we'll go through the process of bringing out the hot plate. You can see where if I'd used the SO8 version of the controller, then I wouldn't have to use the hot plate to try and correct them. Oh man, these are still hot. Oh yeah. I might in future try them actually on a lower run. In the oven I can set the height of where the board is, and usually I set it between the, right, vertically in the middle, so you got elements on top, elements on bottom. But I think I might, for these aluminium boards, actually drop it down so it's closer to the bottom element. Let's see. Okay, where's Barney? Let me see if I can find your suggestion. Barney, you're going to have to cut paste that because I can't see it. And Barney's like, damn it, why do I bother? Okay, 2 bridges. This is the reason why we've got this sort of spluttering, is these are the ones where I slipped when I pulled the stencil away. Okay, fronts are good, backs are tolerable. Okay, we'll fix that up straight away. At least bridges are easy. We're saying if you replace one set of banana sockets of leads, cut your production costs. The leads are good. I sort of looked at that, but I found actually that the cost of leads is quite a bit more than the sockets. I mean, the sockets are bad enough, but the leads are definitely a fair bit more. Unless you just meant fly wire. See what Superhouse on. What Reflow am I having? Oh yeah, it's a toaster with a controller I built. I think I built the controller way back at about 2005, 2006, and I've changed the ovens quite a bit though. But yeah, it's a, I think it's a little 20 liter toaster. It does very well for normal FC4 boards, but yeah, I'm definitely thinking I'm going to have to try with the aluminium boards closer to the lower run, the lower elements, just to get that, yeah, more heat into them. Oh wow, one actually worked. This must have been one of the first stenciling jobs because it's clean enough. Okay, and this on the other hand is pretty much the opposite. At least worst case scenario, I figure people buying this already know how to do board rework. So they should be able to fix it. Not that they should have to. Really there's a I've got I've already dispatched one lot, and I've got pretty sure it's a dozen left here that I need to sort out. So yeah, I'm hoping to get them all out of the way today. I don't know why I care. So leave them alone, they're not doing anything. Yeah, this definitely has to be fixed up. I'm pretty sure this back leg here that keeps lifting up, I'm fairly sure it's actually because of the way they've designed it. And that back leg does tend to kick up a bit. Anyway, hot plate time. Let's see if all of these will flash first. Hey, Rusty Russ. You're just trying to get all the like processes done so I don't have to come back to this later and go, oh, I've got to reflash these. Okay, that's good. I've got to scratch the pads a little bit because there's a flux crust on top of them. And if you don't scratch the flux crust off, then it won't... Okay. Well, at least they're all good that way. So, doing pretty good today. Alright, time to get the hot plate out. I'm kinda... No, don't do it, Paul. Don't. Just get the proper hot plate. What I was contemplating on was getting one of the board preheaters, just the ones that you use for doing screen separations and things like that. And if you crank that up to like 120, then it preheats the board well enough that you can then go in with the hot air and do the rework. But the problem is that the hot air is going to flow past the edges of the board a lot and then start hitting the preheater thermal pad a lot, and that makes it a bit angry, so I best don't do that. The reason why I don't like using these so much is because the elevated height of the hot plate. It'd be nice if they had these units but with the hot plate sitting like down here on the side. I mean, maybe I can make my own version or something like that, but it'd be nice to not have to try and raise your wrist up to this kind of height. But it's what it is. Now we're going to have to raise the microscope up tremendously. This is going to be like as if I've got a 0.5 Barlow in here or something. Okay. And we need a suitable power lead. Yeah, PSI, you're quite right about that. Some of them I already have amended the paste, sort of the size, that the amount of paste that goes on. Others I just keep forgetting to every damn time. Okay. Now I don't need to set this to reflow temperature. I just kind of want it about 160 or so, which is sort of reflow temperature. What? What's that? Let's see. 150. We'll go with that. Hey, Gavin Brown. Oh, we just have enough height here. Okay, this one I think... Okay, you don't need anything, you're perfect. And I think you're good. Okay, you need to be shifted across. My chair needs to come up. Come on, up come. Good chair. Hey, Electro Rep, how's it going? I think it's more like 25% failed Arilla. 25% be about right. Which is not a good ratio. Now I know what it feels like to be Intel. Electro, hoping those boards arrive tomorrow, along with the stencil machine. It isn't quite as fluid as I would like, but it's looking good enough. Now the next problem is I can't just grab those boards because they're hot. Oh wow, this is more tricky than I expected. Okay, I need a cooling station. You're good, you're good. Okay, you're fine. You're fine there. Oh yeah, see. That's quite the disaster. You can see how quickly the heat comes through. Yeah, this one here I wasn't sure whether I was willing to risk it or not. And because I wasn't sure, I decided not to. the other problem is, because I've got LEDs all mounted on here, if you're too aggressive with the hot air, you can very easily go and melt them. That's the last thing you want to do. Certainly quite happy with this flux that I use. That's the MG Chemicals stuff. It stays quite well behaved and hangs around long enough for me to do this rework. Come on. Okay. Revert? What? Which IC got reversed? It's not reversed, that's the correct way. Okay, now these are the tricky ones because we don't know what's. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's quite lame. But I don't know, I'm just not 100% convinced because there's multiple ground contact points on those things. Thanks, Electro. I'll try and remember to. So that's a nice fillet. Filet fish? No, not fillet fish. I'll touch up these back ones as well. Same story with this one. I'm less convinced about this one, to be honest, because that, yeah, it's not the world's greatest fillet, but it's still tolerable. Oh, don't burn your fingers, Paul. And it might only be 150 Celsius on that hot plate, but it's still hot enough to really make you cry. And I've had enough of burning my fingers lately. I did that more than enough with my flippin' 3D printer. Yeah, the number of times I'd grab that the hot block on the 3D printer where the nozzle goes through and just, I don't know, be an idiot. I just want to clean up the flux now on these. Don't want to flood these switches too much because they do have, they're not liquid tight or anything like that. They are just, you pop them open, they're just a series of little brush contacts, things like that. So it doesn't take much to get them contaminated with things like flux or all sorts of junk. Let's see if that's actually solved the problem or whether we still have the problem, because we thought, okay, maybe it's the contacts on the navigation switches, but we don't know. It was interesting that none of the three switches were making contact like up, down, or on, off, so it's kind of weird. Still not. No, that doesn't seem to be the problem on that one. Okay, that one's fixed. Interesting. Alright, I'm going to go through the whole lot, test them all again. That one's definitely a no good. That's okay. Hey, Q's. It's wondering when you'd show up. Okay, so this one here still has a bad nav switch. Well, the rest of them seem to be okay. So we go now. 2 hours, 20 minutes. Okay, see if we can find out what's going on with this nav switch. And could it be this one? It's kind of weird, yeah, because electrically there shouldn't be any difference here. Come on. Give me one. Okay. So as you can see, we've got ground there, and then these are the three switch pads. So basically what happens is those 3 lines go into the microcontroller. They're pulled high internally by the microcontroller, and then what will happen is when you either go one way or the other or the push, it shorts one of these pads respectively to ground. So it's a little bizarre. I'm just going to pop one of these switch assemblies open. These are ones that I find to be quite good. I mean, I went through a lot of different switch assemblies to find a reasonable one. Come on now. Fine, we'll use that. So we just clip these. The quality of the plastic casting is pretty good. There's a little bit of grease inside. The spring, spring positioning and everything's all nice. All right. Okay, so the shield. Let's see, what's the shield doing here? Okay, the shield doesn't come into play at all. They come from AliExpress, but multiple different suppliers. So we've got ground here, ground there. And as you can see, they've got a little bit of dielectric grease on here. So it looks like they're going for this one here. What? No. So ground there, ground there. Damn it. Continuity mode, please. Alright, so it seems the critical one is that one there. So that is, as far as I know, going to be the only ground one. Or maybe... Or maybe it's just that those two happen to be connected, but this one is its own isolated one as well. Oh well. Either way, let's try solder up the other end and see what happens. But anyway, they're decent quality switch assemblies, those ones. If you asked me, I would have said that's soldered. The thing is, it's hitting all three of them. That's the weird thing. Why would all of them be out of action? I could understand one way or another, but not all of them. Okay, it's definitely reflowed now. mean, it could just be a bad switch. Nothing. That's definitely... none of it's going. Alright. That is just weird. That works. That works. That works. So the switch is definitely working. So for whatever reason, the AVR is not listening to it. That makes it even weirder. Oh, okay, I see the problem. How did we miss that? How did we miss that? That's why it's doing that. Not because it's not responding to the switch, but because that's overriding everything. You people call yourselves quality control. Gee whiz. Just waiting for it to beep. Definitely have to fire the QC guy. Absolutely. Out of a cannon. Into the sun. Alright, let's see how we go now. Yay! What do you know? When you don't have solder bridges in the wrong places, all of a sudden things work. Alrighty then, that's it for me for today. Obviously I've got to do all the, got to do all this jizz jazz. This was when the 3D printer was working absolutely perfectly, and then it got a little bit sketchy again. I swear I'm just gonna have to go and buy that new Ender 3 SE. If nothing else, the fact that it has the auto leveling, I think, is probably a good enough reason to get it. I mean, it's not super critical for smaller objects like this, but trying to do my fume hood and things like that without the self-leveling, or even just that little board holder that I made for the Ringlight boards, without the self-leveling, it does tend to cause trouble. Which one's this? What's wrong with the printer? I don't know exactly. I've changed the Belden tube because it was choked and it was constraining the feed. But then it started misbehaving again, and I mean, PLA won't even go through for more than one layer. So I really don't know what's going on with that. But this is when it's printing good. There's no problems there. But yeah, it just starts to go to hell. Like we start ending up with this crap. Look, it starts off okay at the bottom a little bit, but then just degenerates fast. like a whole layer failure there. And if I run the PETG too hot, then it causes that PTFE tube to choke up. But if I don't run it hot enough, then it won't stick, and yeah. New nozzle time. I've tried new nozzle as well. Cues, I would go the bamboo, but they're going to be a little bit more expensive. And like I said, I can get this Creality SE for 290, 270, 280, something like that. And that's delivered to me. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get something to sort of get me out of trouble now. And that should do. And then I'm either going to end up getting something like an Ender 5 Max, or I don't know, I might look at one of the bigger bamboos or something like that. Multi-color printing isn't really a thing for me at this stage, but large object things seems to be what I'm doing. So, alright, I am out of here. I'm going to go take a break. I need a cup of coffee. I'm glad that we've got 12 for 12 now working, which means fairly sure everybody's orders should get shipped tomorrow. Bambu Lab X1 Carbon 3D printer special, probably a calibration problem. I've tried many different things, and the fact that it won't, the fact that it the fact that it stops pushing PLA through is just weird, and it like locks it. And I've checked that the Belden tube is butted up against the extruder tip, because you don't want a gap between them, because that can cause that problem if you do. So I've gone over all the things that it should be, and it's still misbehaving. So I'm starting to wonder, do I have a temperature sensor problem, like it's intermittent and it's causing the head to get cold even though it thinks it's hot, all that sort of stuff. And I've already spent 4 or 5 days on it, and I do want to get it up and running because it is still a perfectly good printer. But I think in order to get my business workflow going, I need to it's cheaper for me to spend that 300 odd now and save the screwing around for later. I need to be able to print these things out now. I do fortunately have a stock of these, but after this batch of ring lights I'm not going to have anything, and I can't trust that printer to do it anymore. So how much time does the law require that each Sunday do you Queenslanders have to bend at least 50 minutes a day? Make sure we're fully qualified banana benders. Don't hear that term used much anymore, being a banana bender. I'm not sure why it went out of favour, but yeah. It will stop PLA if you haven't. I did purge out all the PETG. Like I would sit there, run the nozzle up to PETG or ABS temperature, 240, and I would pump through PLA until it was just nothing but pure PLA. I got quite a lot of it. And then when that's done, I start the print. So yeah, I mean, that was what I was thinking at first. Like, okay, I've got a piece of PETG stuck in there. Nothing. And then I would do a cold pull and it comes out clean. So I don't know what's going on. Prusa XL. Cannot afford a Prusa XL, that's for sure. Alright, I'm out of here. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one. And if any of you are waiting on your ring lights, they should be out tomorrow. Until then, I'll catch us all. I can't think of what I'm saying. I'm out of here. You take care. Bye-bye.